Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Reference Point. I'm your host, Dave Kocharhook. Pleasure to have you with us tonight. Tonight we're going to be talking about what I think is a crucially important subject for a lot of people. We're here in Silicon Valley, a hotbed of internet activity. And we're speaking this evening with Lyena Solomon, and Lyena is a specialist in the area of usage of the internet, development of websites for purposes of being able to enhance a business activity. So there's so many entrepreneurs in our community, so many businesses, so many websites that I thought it would be useful and important for people to have a better understanding about what is this tool. We kind of think we know, but really what is this tool? How do we best utilize a tool like this to enhance our businesses from a marketing perspective, from a communication perspective, etc. And Lyena, you are a specialist in this area. You're a consultant for people to help small businesses develop these things, and you've had a considerable background in the usage of the internet as well, right?
Yes.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here tonight. Thank you for coming. And let's talk a little bit about this thing called the internet, because how old is it really now, the internet?
I would say about 13 years.
Okay, so for all intents and purposes, the effective usage for business is about 13 years or so. And would you say that how have you seen it develop over the years? I mean, you kind of have been a hands-on person, if I remember correctly, from what you were telling me. Tell us a little bit about your experiences with it.
Well, at first, when internet started, I think it was limited mostly to people who were in technology business and knew how to use it to get information. And it was probably designed to help them access information quicker. Mm-hmm. And then people started to spread the internet to less technical people, and necessity to create appropriate tools appeared. And of course, then some companies emerged that created browsers that we know today.
Like Google and...
First it was Mosaic and Netscape.
Okay. Oh, Netscape. I remember Netscape, right. Yeah.
And those browsers allowed people to actually see images and see text without knowing commands, how to evoke those pages and make them appear on the screen. Because the first text browser was called Lynx, where you go and you just see only text, no images.
So you had to kind of know what you were looking at, and it really wasn't. It was more for the techie type guys than it was for the normal people like me. Okay. So, but now, here we are, 2008, and I saw something the other day on the web, and I may have mentioned it to you too, I think, the usage, the huge amount of utilization of this tool here in the United States. It's something like a very high percentage of the population is utilizing the internet, either through broadband connectivity or the dial-up connectivity, and it's maybe like 75 or 80% of the population is really connected on the web these days. So with all of that activity, what does a business need to think about when they're saying, hey, I ought to have a website, man, everybody's got one, I ought to have a website? I mean, is it as simple as that?
It's very good thinking to have, because if we look at the statistics around the world, in June of 2008, we logged over 172 million websites around the world.
Well, that was this this graph you showed me earlier, right?
Right.
Talks about the number of domains, and this is worldwide. Is this worldwide information? So there's like over 170 some odd million internet websites out there. Is that what they're saying? That's a lot of traffic. That's a lot of stuff to go kind of filter through if you're trying to find something.
And the growth from the month previously to that was 3.9 million websites. So internet is growing like wildfire, and small businesses cannot afford to ignore it at this point. So of course, if you want to have a website, it's not as easy as just going to and just getting one. You need to have a plan, you need to know why you need the website for, and you need to know how to incorporate it into your existing business.
To your overall business plan. Okay, well, I'm going to talk about that in just a minute, but I want to go to something that you said here just a moment ago, because I think that's a stunning number. You said something like over the last, in between May and June of 2008, there was something like 3.9 million new websites.
Correct.
Okay, now does that mean people got domain names? They
Yes.
registered a domain name, but they may not necessarily have put something out that you can go look at, but registered domain names, okay.
Yes.
So I know I've got several of those. I dabble in a variety of areas, and I've got a couple of collaborations with some people, and we have domain names, and we're planning on putting a website up, but we just haven't got around to it because it seems like it takes a little time and effort. They tell you that when you register, you can get one of these template 3-page websites, and it's real simple and easy and that sort of thing. And I think a lot of people will do that. Is that a reasonable thing for a small business to do, to kind of like accept that kind of an opportunity as a way to actually get your presence established?
Well, think about your childhood when your dad said, "Oh, get on this bike, it's really easy to ride it." And it's not as easy as it seems to be. For a professional, yes, it is easy because we have it down cold. We know what to ask the business owner. We know how to incorporate the website into their business. We know that it's an investment for them, and they need to find ways to measure the success of the website, and we show them how. Also, for a business owner, it could be something different. Success of a website can mean something different than to another business owner. So
let's talk about that for a minute. That implies to me that it's not just as simple as putting up a page. You need to have a game plan for what it is you want that presence to accomplish. Is that a fair statement?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so how does a small business person who maybe has, I don't know, an auto repair shop or a retail store or a consulting business, how do they put something in place that really is going to help their business grow? What do they need to think about?
Well, first of all, they need to start with their own business and analyze what exactly do they do? Who are their competitors? What are they trying to deliver to their clients? Who are their clients? Because all those questions will come up when they're putting together a website. Then they need to decide what the website is going to solve for them. What is the purpose? If, say, they're a retailer store, they probably would want to sell their products on the internet. Mm-hmm. So the purpose of the website will be internet sales. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they will be able to measure the success by amount of revenue they derive from the website. If it's, say, car dealerships, they might want to have an informative website and not sell cars through the internet, but inform people about what kind of cars they have. And their success will be measured by amount of people who come from the internet to their
to
dealerships.
Their place of business, and they find a way of tracking that so they know whether that marketing activity is successful. Very interesting. So I'm going to try to see if I got that correct. The idea is you need to understand what you want this site to accomplish for you. It's not just, oh, I got a website now, and I've got pretty pictures, and I got moving parts, and I've got music, and I've got all the new whiz-bang type stuff. You have to think through what it is that you are hoping this is going to do for your business in maybe multiple areas. Does it make sense for a company to have more than one place to go on as a website for their company or a web page for their company?
Absolutely.
Part of it might be informational, part of it might be sales related and that sort of thing?
Sometimes people would have a different part of the site for their clients to sign in or their vendors to sign in.
Yeah, sure.
That would be, a different type of area on the website. But again, the reason you need to really focus on the purpose and objectives of your website is for your users to come to the website and see what you want them to do. Mm-hmm. If you just have something put together there like a carnival, they don't know what to do. Why are they on the website? What do you want them to do? Where do you want them to go? And they wouldn't be able to find information that they want to retrieve from your website quickly and easily. That's why people get frustrated with a lot of websites.
Let's try to give the viewing audience a little visual aid on this type of a thing. You brought a couple of images that we are able to put on screen here that talked about, I think, that tie into this idea of something that when you get to that page, it's pretty intuitive as to what it is you're supposed to do, right?
Correct.
And you brought one here that is actually from our local friends here at Google. You go up there and look at their site if you're going to do it as a search thing. And it's kind of bare bones. I mean, you get a lot of these things you go up to, even other search locations like, Yahoo or MSN Microsoft has a search, and there's busy. There's all sorts of stuff on it. But this is pretty basic, pretty straightforward. So, what are your thoughts about what's the impact of this relative to some of those busier sites?
Well, the reason I brought up Google here is to illustrate that functionality is the most important, in my opinion, on your website. You don't see too many images, too many illustrations on Google's main site. However, if you go to, say, iGoogle, which is your personalized page where you can add content, it might look similar to my Yahoo or Yahoo page. But getting back to Google, you get to the website, you know what it's for. You want to search, and it's very obvious by this huge search field and the button that you can press and look for results or a problem or question that you have. Incidentally, Google is not really a company that provides search. It's an advertising company. But this is a very interesting and I think good illustration of how a website does not really need to follow your business plan and your business goals to be successful and useful. They use the results of their search engine in their primary business, but it doesn't have to be necessarily their business to be successful.
Got it. Interesting. Okay. So now, there are many sites that you go to. I think I was telling you before the show here, my wife was up on a website the other day that she was looking at that had this music playing, and there were moving images. You couldn't turn the music off unless you turned off the sound on your computer and stuff like that. And when you go to something like a Google page, it's just pretty bare bones. It's like, here it is, and here's what I need to do. I'm going to look at the news, or I'm going to go to my mail site, or I'm going to search or whatever. But some of these sites are just like ultra busy. It's like going into a Grand Central Station and stuff is moving all around. So now what is the value of having so much activity occurring on a web page?
There is no value to it, in my opinion, because it's very distracting. When your users come to your website, you want them to know right away, first of all, what your company does, what kind of services it offers, and what they can do on the website. With a lot of moving images and audio and things disappearing and appearing in pop-up windows, all you do is trying to fight it off. It's like you're trying to concentrate on reading a book outside and there's this fly buzzing around you, and eventually you'll go away. And that's what users do. If the website is very busy, they just go away and move on to another website, one of those 172 million websites.
Yeah. Right. Something that is less distracting for them. Now, are there times and places when that kind of a configuration or activity for a site actually makes sense?
It does, when user knows from the very beginning that that's what they're going to encounter on a website. For example, MySpace. This is the website. You know that when you go there, you'll hear music and things will be crowded and you'll have video there, but this is your expectation.
Okay, so it sounds like, if as a business, if you know that what you're trying to do is entertain with your site, then you would do things that would be more graphic, more moving, maybe sound related or whatever. But if you're, as a business, you're trying to communicate a level of professionalism or particular service orientation or product specific information, you want to think through that process again and figure out, how do I actually make my website serve my purpose? Is that pretty much the idea?
Your purpose will dictate your content and the way you deliver that content will be dictated by your audience. For example, if you are an owner of an arcade for teenagers, you want to have some flashy pictures and maybe something moving and maybe some kind of arcade game on the website, because your audience is teenage kids. But if you're a business, say a dry cleaning shop or a retail store, you want to appear more serious, because people will not come to your website to play a game. They will come to your website for information about your product, or maybe to buy it, or do something that requires information about the services that you offer. So you do not want anything flashing, moving, or playing.
That would distract them from the objective. Okay, makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about the efficient use of the amount of real estate that you have. You know, you've got only so much size on the screen in order to do stuff with. And another one of the images that you brought for us was one from another company, this Amazon.com actually, and when we take a look at how they're using the real estate that they have, it looks it's clean, it's simple, it's easy, and it looks like relatively efficient utilization of space. Now, I've seen some websites where they have gorgeous photographs and things like that, but you really can't put text over it, because if you did, it would, you know, destroy the image that they're looking at. But there's very little content. There's very little that you can actually communicate, because you're not maybe utilizing that. So if we take a look at this one from the Amazon.com one, what are your thoughts, or how would you communicate what your perspective is on the effectiveness and the efficiency of something like this?
Well, usually websites differ greatly from newspapers and magazines, for example. However, certain things apply as well, like above the fold is the prime real estate, where people go to a website and whatever they see on the screen is the prime real estate. However, unlike magazines and newspapers, what you can see on the screen depends upon your computer configuration and your screen size and the all kinds of other different things. So that's why it is important to design for the most common computer screen size, to make sure that what you want to communicate to your visitor fits there.
That's an interesting point, because I've done that. I've gone to websites and you couldn't. I actually went to some that said the only way you can see this is if you're using XYZ.
Very bad practice. Horrible.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. So if I'm a business owner and I'm looking to do some of these things, is it the information that and I'm a novice. If I'm a computer whiz and an internet guru, I could probably create. I would know what I need to do in order to create something along the lines that you talked about. The right kind of sizing, the right kind of format, so it can be viewed in the most through the most browsers, in clean lines and that sort of thing. But if I'm not, what do I need to do?
I think the most important thing you would do is to assess, what do you want this website to do? Do you want it to be an effective website, or just put something together for fun? If you want it to be effective for your business, I think you have to hire a professional web designer to do those things for you, because they would be experts in design, in content, in usability and navigation, and they would scale your website to target your user.
Okay. So does that mean I could hire the 17-year-old kid down the street who is a computer whiz, and he could probably do that for me?
If they have their consulting company and very successful, I would definitely advise it.
Good point. Good point. And that's the true thing. And I say that, make that a comment somewhat facetiously, but it's kind of true. You know, a lot of people think about that. They'll say, "Oh, hey, my son plays with this," or the kid next door, or I know somebody who's really good on the computer and they program and they can maybe make a website for me. But it goes deeper than that, because there's the technical side of it, of how is it that what do I need to do in order to make it visible, to make it useful, to fit the right sizing like we talked about. But there's also that other perspective. I'm a business owner. I want this thing to have an impact on my customers and my prospects, and I want it to have this kind of an impact. So what do I have to do from a marketing and sales perspective to design the information so that it actually communicates to people?
I think that websites differ very much from all the media that business owners are used to, like newspaper advertisement and billboards and radio ads and television ads. So you need an expert to actually create the content that is targeted for your website. Nowadays, it is possible to create a website without really knowing any coding. And coding is, in my opinion, the easiest part of creating a website. The most difficult part is the planning, because you have to understand how the website is going to help your business, because this is a financial investment for you, and you need to measure the return and make it worth your while to have your website. If you do have a return on it, you will maintain it, make sure that it works correctly, and then you will improve it.
Sure.
If it is just dead weight, you will forget about it, and it'll become one of those, dead ships in the sea.
I think you made a really good point there about it is an investment, and like any investment that a business makes, you need to be able to measure whether or not that investment is actually returning value to you. If I do this, am I going to make more money in my business? That's really the bottom line for anything, whether it's using the internet or taking an ad in the Yellow Pages or putting salespeople, company salespeople out on the street. Is this going to return to me more dollars than I'm putting into it? And I think that you've really hit the nail on the head when you look at it and you say the people need to understand how and why they're utilizing this thing. And if they do it right and they measure it right, then they can be effective. I want to remind the audience at this point that we actually, ask you if you got questions about this subject or any of the topics that we're doing here at Reference Point, to send us an email so that we can get those questions to the right parties. If you have something you want to know more about, how do I do this internet type thing? You got a small business or you're planning on starting a business and you want to know how to do something effective in the development of a site, send us a query. We'll get it to Lyena or whomever would be the right person to see if we can get an answer for you and send it out. That web address or the email address is info@referencepointtv.com. So let's go back and just think about a couple other things. If a business owner is going to work with a design consultant, and we've already identified that it's probably smart if they do so. There's untold thousands of people out there that are billing themselves as web consultants, okay, or knowledgeable in the area. What should I do? What should any emerging business owner do to make sure that they're getting somebody that can walk the walk?
Well, first of all, you probably would want to interview several of them and see what their vision is on how your website would look like. And if to the first meeting they bring pictures of your pretty website, I would stay away from them, because functionality and content is going to be your winning points of a successful website. So you have to find out if a web designer going to work for you. You need to make sure that they speak your language, that they can explain to you in terms you understand how the website will benefit your business. And if you try to speak in technical terms to a designer, terms that you might not understand very well, you might cause problems. You might get what you asked for and not what you actually wanted.
Yeah, I think that's you raise a really interesting point there, because we all, in whatever our business is, our jobs, our careers, we get into terminology that's consistent with what it is that we do day in and day out. And then if you're trying to speak to someone that's not in that world constantly, and you continue to use those terms, it can get real confusing for the people you kind of talk to. So it sounds like a web consultant really needs to help you be an interpreter, or I guess you need to be an interpreter to some degree between the individual business owner and whoever it is that's actually going to be doing the work to design or to program the content. Is that a fair statement?
And business owners do this every day. If I take my car to a car shop and I ask what's wrong with it, they will explain to me in terms that I understand what is wrong with the car. So I think it's just fair for a web designer to be able to explain to their client what website is going to be about.
Got it. We have a little less than 2 minutes left in the show, and so I thought I just wanted to ask you what your counsel might be to someone. If there were the 2 or 3 key things that you wanted our viewing audience to remember about developing a site for their business, what are the 2 or 3 key things that you'd want them to make sure they take home with them?
First of all, have a plan and purpose. Second, focus on your audience and deliver the content that you want. Deliver it quickly and don't make them work for it.
Don't make them work for it. That's as far as the people coming, because if they have to work for it, they're likely to go away.
Absolutely.
Is that the idea? Very cool. Well, this has been informative for me and useful for me, and I hope for you in the audience out there it's been informative and useful to you. We all think we know what the internet is all about, and maybe we do. But the idea of how do I effectively use this as a tool for a business is, I think, an important topic and something that you need to think about a little bit more as a business owner. Send your questions in about this or any other topic to info@referencepointtv.com. We'd love to help you out with answering any questions. And so, Lyena, I want to thank you again for coming to be here tonight, being on my show. You're a wonderful guest.
Thank you.
I appreciate your wisdom in this regard. And maybe you can help me with one of my websites, I hope. And
Absolutely.
maybe some of the folks out there in the viewing audience will write in too and ask for some assistance. So, folks, thanks for being out there in the audience. We appreciate your viewing us here on KMVT, and we'll see you next time on Reference Point.